right, let's do this. Episode 394 of Global from Asia, so close to 400 shows. Got with us today TLC, Tender Loving Care, but also can be called the Living Crystal. I have one with me right now. We got the story, also strategies for if you're helping your business, your mindset, using meditation, mindfulness, and more. Let's tune in.
Welcome to the Global from Asia podcast, where the daunting process of running an international business is broken down into straight up actionable advice. And now, your host, Michael Michelini.
I'm getting back into the swing of things. This show is weekly, and right now I don't want to commit to more, but hopefully we'll keep these weekly. We got a lot of shows already recorded. Today we're on 394 of these shows. globalfromasia.com/TLC, The Living Crystal. I got one right here. I've been using this for at least a month or two now, an early stage prototype. This is going live on Kickstarter, I think today, the day this show goes out. And we have with us the founder and the creator and the engineer and the mindfulness guru. Guru is good, I think. John Hubble, where we talk about this product and coming to Asia from the US and engineering and meditation and business. It's a fascinating conversation. I think it's a pretty long show. We're keeping these shows as long as they need to go. Also, so much things happening, Japan trip is coming in April, Canton Fair might happen. We're doing a meetup in Chiang Mai tomorrow, and lots of stuff is happening. We're going to put as much as we can into the show for free. Also, our newsletter, people are enjoying our newsletter. It's really cool to hear from some of you reading and subscribing to our newsletter. Anyways, lots to talk about. This is a longer episode. I really recommend taking your notebook out, getting things ready. A little bit of, it's not woo-woo. Honestly, we even talk about MMA fighters and high-stress business people that use these tactics to deal with pressure and stress, because being an Amazon seller or a business owner or international traveler, especially after COVID and everything, you gotta be good in your brain, in your mind, clear, and dealing with all kinds of pressure. I'm still a student, and I'm a student today with John Hubble. Show notes, links. I got an unboxing video I made for this product too. All of that should be on the show notes at globalfromasia.com/TLC. Let us tune in now. Are you looking for a cross-border logistics company from Asia to the East and the West? Then look no further. Cross-Better Logistics is a solution for you. From ocean shipping to air freight, from factory to 3PL warehouse, Amazon FBA, and Walmart.
Cross-Better Logistics is an experienced service provider for e-commerce sellers and B2B traders on TPS Trade. As a GFA partner level sponsor, let them know we sent you and they'll take care of you. Check them out at www.crossbetter.com today.
All right, so thank you everybody for tuning in to our Global from Asia podcast. We're getting closer to 400 shows, and this is a show I should have done quite a while ago, but I've got some data. I've been using some of these practices a bit myself, and we have with us on the show John Hubble. He's a very interesting combination of engineer and, I'm going to say it wrong, but mindfulness, meditation professional. And here in Chiang Mai, we've gotten to know each other pretty well over the last few months, and we're working together on the Kickstarter campaign we'll talk about later. But today, I thought it would be really good for the listeners today, or watchers, to understand about the importance of mindfulness, meditation, being aware of your body and your thoughts and your emotions in business, because we're under a lot of pressure, and especially the last few years with COVID and everything. So I'm really happy to have John Hubble on the show. Thanks for being here, John.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm happy to be here.
My pleasure, my pleasure. So first, a quick little bit of intro about yourself, John.
So I'm John Hubble, and I've been living out here full time about 10 years.
Cool.
And for 20 plus years, I've been running a engineering consulting business. So we develop products for businesses in healthcare, wellness, consumer electronics, medical, all sorts of stuff, even exercise. I know our mutual friend Don, I've been doing a lot of different exercise equipment with him. And yeah, so a little more background about me is that, I got an engineering degree from Virginia Tech.
Oh, nice.
And I graduated in '96, and I spent a couple years working for companies, and then I developed my own company, consulting primarily, and that was around 2001, 2002.
Great.
And primarily I started my company in San Diego.
I lived there for a little while, just
yeah.
3-4 months.
Yeah, it's a wonderful place, beautiful, but also it has a fair amount of defense contractors there.
Okay.
And an industry of design and manufacturing.
Sure.
That's somewhat uncommon in America. There's some manufacturing up in LA and throughout the country, but San Diego, Southern California is really a hub for design and manufacturing.
I didn't experience, I mean, I was there between my shift from Wall Street or working and then doing my own business, full-time e-commerce, but I don't recall that. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. So
it's a beautiful place too, Ocean Beach and PB, Pacific Beach. There's all these nice beaches.
There's Pacific Beach, Mission Beach, Ocean Beach. Yeah.
Oil district, oil light district or something.
The gas
lamp.
The gas lamp.
Yeah.
So that's historic now.
Interesting.
It was, and I spent about 15 years there, and I lived in Ocean Beach and also North Park.
Okay.
And about 10 years ago, I'd been coming out to Thailand and Southeast Asia for 5 years before, so about 15 years. And I really, when I got to Thailand, I was like, oh, this is a really kind of like incredible place. And my first stop was kind of like Bangkok and working with manufacturers there. And then after a couple months, I had to go back to San Diego. Oh. And it was the first time that I actually felt like I wanted to stay and not go back to San Diego. So after doing that for 4 to 5 years, I decided to move out here full time.
Okay, cool. Thanks for that story.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of us. Actually, over the years, I've seen different people. There's some people that come to Asia and love it and can't leave, and then there's some that just can't wait to go back to like Western civilization or the food. Right. So people usually figure it out within a year or two, I think, if they like it long term or not.
Thailand's an interesting country because you still have the modern. Yeah. I mean, you have modern conveniences, and it's westernized enough that there's McDonald's if people love McDonald's or Burger King, and however, it's exotic enough that you feel like you're in a different country.
For sure.
Obviously, and the people are wonderful here.
Yeah.
It's such a comfortable, kind of easy going country that it's hard for me to think of any place else that is like this.
That's true. I mean, I think I've lived in China for many years, so the show, a lot of these I did when I was talking in China. So China, of course, is a totally different environment. But even Thailand, there's some people that don't have patience with the local culture, whether it's Thailand, Vietnam, China, Hong Kong even. They don't, I guess you can live in a bubble of expat bubble, especially in Thailand, but there are some that just get tired. Actually, I just met a couple here, and they're going back to the U.S. Mm-hmm. And they're just like, we had a few years here, it was fun, but we're going back to also the family and the lifestyle of America,
Right. I mean, I think it takes some getting used to, and like there's a certain amount of acceptance that you have to come with, or acquire, here. It's not like Western culture.
True.
And there's the laws are not like that. How the law is applied here is not like that. And it's a much more flexible. I feel like it's a much more flexible country. Mm-hmm. However, that also kind of like works against some people's mindset. True. And they like laws being followed.
Yeah.
And it's coming from a Western society. Where people follow rules even when nobody's looking.
True.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, it's trust-based versus, especially in China, it's low trust of society.
Right.
So they have to have laws and they have to have cameras and regulations because it's not self-regulating, trust-based type system. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I think that's interesting commentary. I often kind of say, if you drive around, if you're driving in Thailand, you kind of understand like how the culture works, and it's, and I often say like the lines on the road are mere suggestions, and you have to kind of go with the flow of the traffic and what's acceptable is constantly changing. And it's also interesting is that in Chiang Mai, nobody honks their horn. However, from a Western point of view, there's tons of people that are getting cut off, as they're driving around, and these near misses.
My wife scares me. She drives, and she's Chinese, and man, she'll cut somebody off, and I'm like, actually just yesterday I was a couple close calls.
But it all works. It may not necessarily be as efficient as what we come from, or even like following the rules of how we drive, but it works. And
the motorbikes is the scary one. There's so many deaths. I mean, there's injuries and deaths on motorbikes, and they're just in the middle of the highway. They just drive right in the scene. Yeah. That's
with
scary.
No looking at all.
Yeah, it's really scary. I saw somebody getting scraped off the highway last week.
Whew.
I mean, I'm kind of exaggerating, but he was late. He saw him. The kids saw him. Were driving. He's like, there's blood. I don't know how bad, but he was getting picked off the road. We were going on the other side.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't know the stats, but I do think Thailand death.
Well, yeah, the roads are dangerous here.
Is high, very high.
For motorcycle or scooter, and also just pedestrians.
Yes.
So, that's one thing. Look out for yourself.
It kind of goes.
When you're riding a motorbike or if you're walking.
Yeah, everybody gets in an accident on a motorbike. Not everybody, but a lot of people I've talked to. Which kind of goes into a segment. Did you get into this mindfulness practice in China, in Thailand, or in Asia, or was it something you brought from?
No. I at a very early age, I was about 5 or 6. My mother taught me self-hypnosis.
Oh.
And this was in the late 70s.
Nice.
So this was, I think it was about that time where the 70s and the early 80s where America was, there was an influx of kind of like yoga and Buddhism and these types of.
I'm thinking the hippie kind of life. The 70s, like, wasn't it like kind of like peace and love and.
Yeah, however, I don't really think the mainstream embraced yoga, or meditation all that much. And I think Herman Hesse wrote that book, Siddhartha, and he introduced the West to Buddhism, right? And then there was Zen and the art of motorcycle maintenance, which was, I think it was in the 70s. So it took a little while to kind of percolate. So, I mean, the thing was that self-hypnosis was kind of the only thing available that my mother thought was a mindful meditation.
All right.
And self-hypnosis is a form of, like, you breathe rhythmically, which is very similar to kind of these yogic breath techniques, and then you relax your body through visualization.
Okay.
So at a very young age, I learned these techniques as I was kind of growing up. And I think my mom saw I was struggling with the family environment. She thought, okay, she probably thought, I think I need to give him some way that he can relax and kind of control his emotions. Mm-hmm. And I was very rambunctious as a kid.
Okay.
And just very excitable. And then when I started doing these practices, I was able to calm myself and control these emotions as a child, right? And then, as we progressed, as I progressed through the ages, I explored yogic techniques, other mindful techniques, Zen Buddhism, and martial arts, and a lot of the martial arts that were introduced back then, they had a martial aspect of it where you physically train your body. However, there was also an aspect of connecting to yourself, being mindful of your actions and your emotions, and then training your mind to focus, right? And a lot of the things that I would do, and I was into sports, wrestling and football and tennis, so I was in high school, I went through a lot of kind of like training and team kind of workouts and team sports. And what I brought to that is, especially like wrestling, wrestling, you don't kind of think of, how can you connect meditation to wrestling? And what I would do is when we weren't practicing, I would sit down and think about, like, over and over, these drills are like the best way to gain leverage on my opponent or to take down an opponent. So I would breathe rhythmically, get into a calm state, and then visualize myself performing the perfect takedown. And just like over and over again, as if I was, in my body doing it. And then I'd also train from a perspective, like me looking at myself while doing it. And all these times I would be, perfect. And if there was something that I wasn't quite sure on, I'd ask my coach and then incorporate that into the meditation.
Got it.
And I was when I first wrestled, it was my freshman or my sophomore year, and I wrestled first. I beat out a couple seniors in a couple of the competitions to wrestle in like 2 or 3 meets as the first person in my weight class. So I don't think I could have done that without like the training that I did with my mind.
That's really cool.
And the visualization that I did. So it was a really important aspect. And then after that, I, went into college and just kept on practicing and exploring like different modes of meditation, visualizations, the idea of connecting with the elements. And that helped me out throughout college. And then when I went out to be a professional, it also helped me. And I think there's this one thing is that, for me, meditation works, or what I really call is training your mind.
Yeah.
And it works for me in the sense that I make it work for the health of myself and my personal and professional development.
Okay.
So if what I'm practicing, doesn't align with those, then I don't practice it,
Okay.
So all of these practices I do align to my goal,
Okay. Yeah, so I think let's focus on that now. Most of our listeners, this is a podcast about, trading, import, export, e-commerce. We've had some sessions about kind of mindfulness or, dealing with stress. So I think I'll just say it, and I think a lot feel that way. Usually we feel like, you mentioned yoga, meditation. When I was younger, I used to think that was more like a chick thing, a female thing.
Right,
like,
right.
Dudes don't need that, man. We're macho. We're, obviously I'm not like that now. I feel like the stigma, or it wasn't really like a spoken thing. It was more like a subtle subconscious thing. I think like men don't do that. Men are like strong, and we don't need this. Women do that. And is that? I mean, I think that's still true. But I mean, or is that?
Well, I think in a Western society that alignment sounds kind of true. However, how I aligned to it is, I really thought of myself as, training. Well, as a young kid, I was like training as a Jedi.
Yeah,
I mean, Luke Skywalker, like that's just an amazing movie.
It's great. We're on Clone Wars now with our kids.
Okay. So you remember when it was Empire Strikes Back, Luke Skywalker, after his battle at Hoth, went to the Dagobah system to search for this Jedi master, you know, which Yoda looked like a little gremlin, right?
Yeah.
And you know, how did he train? He trained by meditating, right? And by running through the swamp. You know, he trained his mind and body, right? And that kind of really aligned to me. You know, I thought like, okay, yeah, that's like that guy's a Jedi master, you know?
True. That is true.
But I mean, that Joseph Campbell, I don't know if you've ever seen the show The Power of Myth, but Joseph Campbell wrote A Hero with a Thousand Faces, and he was instrumental in the creation of Star Wars.
Oh.
So Lucas went ahead and consulted with him from a mythology, you know, standpoint, and a lot of the mythology in Star Wars is directly from that influence of Joseph Campbell. And you could really see that, you know, Obi-Wan was the master.
Yeah.
And you can see a lot of like the influences he had on Luke Skywalker were very similar to, you know, a samurai taking on a student, right? And teaching him to be mindful.
True.
Right? Mindful of his environment, of the universe, right? And then to extend his awareness, you know, in accomplishing his goals. And it was like the last, even that, you know, the master never leaves the Luke Skywalker, right? And even at the pivotal moment where he's attempting to destroy the Death Star, he reaches out with his mind instead of the computer, and you know, sinks the shot.
True. Yeah. That's
And it only took Obi-Wan to speak to him, you know. So I think that to me, I think of the stories of these samurais, the Bushido Code, Zen Buddhism, how it's all intertwined, the warrior monks of India and then of China, and how, you know, they practiced, they trained their mind and body.
true.
You know, and you just can't train your body. You have to integrate it. And you know, they trained it to the will of fighting.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that has a direct analogy to business.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, there's a lot of things and a lot of stress that you have to take on when you own a business, and especially if you have employees. You always have to worry about payroll. And you know, even though like, you know, 1 week before payroll, customers aren't paying, right? And the stress of that, right? And then overcoming, like you can't be debilitized by that. You have to overcome that, and you have to relax and focus on what's important. And then this is why I think these meditations, mindfulness, but also some meditations that we'll explore today, they're essential in creating that framework that allows you to be a business owner, like a warrior.
Jedi Master.
A Jedi Master business owner.
It is true though, for sure. It's helped me like over the years. I'm not a Jedi Master, but I've gotten better. But like even the monkey mind, right? And then they even see like even in movies like Chuck Norris versus Bruce Lee.
Right.
And Chuck Norris he's strong and good, but he's not. They show the Eastern mind, the Eastern person as kind of the mind, and they usually show the Western as more the muscle.
Right.
And it's even true. Like I've been in China and Asia for a long time, and when I first was here, you could feel it, but it would see it, because actually, like in the businessmen, and I don't know about Thailand, but I think it's also in Thailand, in China for sure, you don't show your emotion. You're just you have to be like straight, you know, or at least that's my. Of course, you don't have to have my agreement. But my experiences.
Well, you have to control your emotions.
Control your emotions.
And to be emotional is to kind of lose face.
Yeah, you
right,
got
and
it.
that's you know, and once you do that, you embarrass yourself and the people that support you.
Yeah, but it seems more tolerable in the Western society to be more emotional. You know, I don't want to name names, but you can think some successful Western business people or warriors that they're more wild. They're not as like calm, but usually the Eastern warrior is more like calm.
I think, yeah, I mean, I would not say that, okay, so mindful meditation, what does that do?
Yeah, that's
that
right,
you,
yeah.
you kind of, you discover yourself by observing your thoughts, right? And then you discover kind of, ultimately you discover your true nature, right?
Yeah.
And, when you engage in emotion, especially on a business level, it has to be strategic, right? And you should never seem like you're out of control.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, even when you see like some of the most successful business owners in America.
Yeah, they show those people like they're like aggressive and emotional and pushy, right?
Yeah, but
I'm not gonna say names. You can probably
how-
imagine them talking. About.
However, it's calculated, right?
Mm,
I think we've all had bosses or customers that are emotional, and you never know like what emotion they're going
Yeah.
to show today.
yeah, exactly.
And how hard is it to work with people like that?
Yeah.
It's difficult. Now you have like some of the savvy owners where they show emotion, right? They'll get angry, right? However, it's calculated,
That's a good point.
and if they still want to work with you, that anger often dissipates, and then the real work begins, right? They use that to motivate often. And there's, I think what we're really getting at here is, knowing yourself, engaging in mindful practices or meditative practices or training your mind allows you to have control over your emotions, right? So that when it's appropriate, you can show them. And when it's appropriate, you can be calm, right?
Mm,
And it's about controlling controlling your state of mind, really, right?
it's like you're saying about the wrestling. You're looking at yourself. I've heard that too in certain. I try to keep up with this. I try to read books and such about this. They say look at yourself in the third person and see yourself as others see. To be better in control of your, like you said, control of your emotions.
Right. I mean, you can even look at like a lot of. I love watching MMA, and I follow a few people. I mean, Conor McGregor obviously is a huge.
But is he? So you think he's good at mindfulness? He seems a little bit more radical, right?
Well, he controls. I think he's very calculated.
He does it
in how he controls his image, right? And he brings the fire, the burning kind of like passion and desire to win when he's there. Now, I guarantee you, I don't know his training segments, but I guarantee you that, he uses visualization a lot to kind of like pump himself up to get ready for a fight or to get ready for training. And, that's a form of meditation. It's a meditative art. He's not only training his body, but he's training his mind.
Yeah. I mean, even baseball, right? You have to focus when you're at bat. You got to focus on or catching the ball or any kind of sport. Right. You have to be focused, be able to focus on the ball, focus on the action, your movement of your arm or your body.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like golf.
Yeah.
Golf's like another kind of like perfect example. Well, it's like golf and baseball. Why are those the sports that are most common in Japan that they've kind of co-opted and really delved into the practice and the art of it? Because there's moments where you have to accelerate, right? And use your will and your focus, and then there's moments that you have to relax and be ready, right? And I think it's like, especially like golf, the Japanese love golf.
Yeah.
It's not only is it for, they use it for business, right? However, they've created somewhat of an art form where they incorporate these meditative arts, training their mind, and they focus it through golf.
That's a good point. Okay, so let's move into the product, which I feel brings together your engineering experience and your mindfulness practice to use both of those skills together. So I'm holding it. Of course, I know a lot of people are listening, but so we'll try to also explain it in audio form. But if you're on video, you can see it in my hand. It's called The Living Crystal. It's going to go on Kickstarter very soon. And can you share a little bit of how did this get started?
Yes, about a little more than a year ago, I was involved I have these group meditations with another individual, which is the partner in this. And through the meditation, he had a vision of using a crystal, specifically quartz crystal, with a coil around it to energize it. And that being the main engine of this would then energize the things around it and also resonance within yourself.
Okay.
And over the course of the next 3 to 4 months, we explored the concepts through meditation and visualization, and we slowly designed what we have right here.
Nice. So it's thelivingcrystal.com. You can check it out.
Right.
And I don't know if you want to show the other one you brought.
Yeah, so this is a unit that I practice with, which is a copper color, and I just have to have a cistrine on top, which really connects to the sun. So I do a fair amount of sun and fire meditations.
Nice.
So, and we can kind of discuss more about that.
I want to hear about that too.
Okay.
So maybe we first go back into the basics of the product, and then we'll go into some fire practices. So I have a whole bunch of different gemstones, and I see you also have some. And I think there's some choices if you purchase the product to add on different kinds of stones. But the standard one is a clear. But you can also, what actually helps me a lot, so I use this in my meditation. I've been meditating, I think, since 2015. I learned from Pat Flynn, and he is a podcaster, really great, Smart Passive Income, and Tim Ferriss. They talk about it a lot, and a lot of the books and the content. So, I like to switch different colors. So obviously we've got lighting on for the recording, but usually do this in a darker space, but it lights up this zone, and like he says, the coils and the light here. But it gives, and we actually have a session. I have mikesblog.com/thelivingcrystal. We did another recording when I just got started. You came and you got me one, and I've been doing it for about a month now, or maybe even more. And I like to switch between the different colors or stones, and they give me different energy. Like you say, it's energy, right? Or a different emotion or feeling. So like the green, the light green gives me somewhat of a powerful feeling, but like the blue is like the ocean or ice, and it's like a cooler feeling. And then there's some that are like green, but when we did that session, it was like a marsh, like a long, in the water of a swampy marsh, and you can feel the algae or the seaweed or the...
Right.
That's beautiful. I use these different thoughts and feelings when I'm doing my meditation, and it also helps me to focus on this object, because sometimes when I meditate, I would just do silent meditation,
right.
Or they say to clear your thoughts. And maybe if there's so much we can talk about. Obviously, it's a lot of stuff, but I thought the point of meditation, and maybe this might be helpful for others, because I feel like we're not as advanced is to just clear your mind. But we had talked once, and you said it's not. That's one point of meditation, is clearing the mind. But I'm even forgetting what you had said. But there's another point.
Really, I think meditation, we can just say it's training your mind.
Training your mind.
So, how do you want to train your mind? Right. So obviously, the foundation is, well, what are you saying? What are your thoughts? Right. And this is the foundation of mindfulness. Right. What are you thinking? And then, as you're thinking, attempt to clear them and find a silence. Right. So that you can stop thinking. you have the control over, and that's often like when people ask me, because I've been practicing meditating for many years, they often ask me, well, don't you think of stuff when you meditate? Yeah, all the time, right? Thoughts come to me, however, I don't engage with them because I'm focused on my meditation, right? And I think that's really powerful. However, there's some thoughts you should pay attention to also,
Yeah,
right?
that's just the hard part, because I'll think of some new idea for business or marketing.
Right. Then if you're meditating and you think, and then for some reason you have this inspiration for a new idea in your business, then you just keep a notepad around and just jot it down, right? And then you can always come back to that and explore it. The insight that you have when you're training your mind and you're becoming silent is really powerful, because that comes from a deeper space, and it aligns. I think like one of the things that often is said is, you don't know what you're thinking until you start paying attention to your thoughts, right? And then you understand, okay, what am I thinking and why am I thinking this, right? And then you get to the point where you're silencing that, and then you can hear what you really should be hearing. And I think that's the focus that's how I engage in this. So there's one aspect is mindfulness, right? And you could also say in Thai terms it's vipassana. So there's many in Thailand. There's many retreats that are vipassana retreats, and then
You make me think of Vipassana.
I say vipassana, yeah.
Oh, that's the same.
Tomato.
Oh, it's just because I've heard of that. Even people in business have told me, yeah, it's like a pure silent retreat for 7 days or something.
Right, observing your thoughts and clearing your mind, right? So, I mean, that's really powerful. And I know a lot of people that go there, and they have a week of clearing their mind, and then they come back to their daily life and they forget about the practice. So, what I really want to do is find a way for people to engage with something on a daily basis, because that's the real power of this. Now you can obviously have insights, vipassana, like when you go for these week retreats, you'll have these great insights. However, it's not just having those great insights, it's how you incorporate that into your life. Right? And then obviously vipassana, there's also another very common like a focus meditation, where you're focusing on something singular. And that's what I usually engage in. And in Thai terms, that's samadhi. So that's singular focus.
Which I feel like this device is helping focus on this one thing, right? So this is like more of a focus.
You're training your mind to focus on something. And there's a direct benefit to your professional life. As you train your mind to be able to focus on something singular, then you'll be able to have greater engagement in anything that you have to do in your business. Like you'll be able to focus for a couple hours on just getting this project out, or just doing this blog, or whatever you may find. And it's also, I mean, we live in a world where
ADD right now.
Yeah, we live in a world where there's TikTok, or there's all these social apps that it's creating people with ADD.
Yeah, it is. It's really sad.
There's all these distractions. So put your phone down and focus. This will be better. Yeah, you'll be able to better engage in business.
I agree.
And focusing on your business and actually creating something.
So it's hard for me to know exactly, I think to measure, but I feel even, you can talk to Anne and others, I've gotten to be so focused. I mean, it's also, I think, over years of meditation in general, but I think, using this as well with my meditation has gotten me, I do Pomodoro too. I do 30-minute work sets and 5-minute breaks, and I try to do one specific kind of project when I work.
Right.
And, at the end, I try to do like the morning of Pomodoro. So I do the meditation in the morning. I do some 10 minutes exercise, but by the time I'm at lunch, my brain is just tired because I've been focused. No TikTok. I don't even have TikTok, no Facebook, no social media. I'm not even looking at the phone as much as I can, and it's just so effective, just output is like crazy. but it's like you're tired. I'm mentally tired by lunch.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think you definitely need to feel there's a rhythm as you work, right? And if you're spending large amounts of focusing, then you need to have breaks, right? And calming, and mindfulness meditation is great for that, or just rhythmically breathing, or doing something that doesn't require a lot of mental focus, and then you get re-energized, and then you can go back in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the Huberman really talks about this and explores, methods to do this in great detail.
I guess just let's maybe get some practices. Is
Okay.
morning good or afternoon, night? Or it depends on a person?
I think it depends on the person. However, I usually practice in the morning when I wake up, about between 5:30 and 6, and then I practice again in the evenings.
Okay.
So after I get off work, I practice.
Okay.
I don't think it's, at least for me, during the afternoon, there's this weird time during the afternoon between like 2 and 5 that isn't conducive to sitting and meditating. Either you need to be doing something or engaging in something else, but there's, I'm not really sure why that is, or maybe it's just the rhythm of our bodies, or the rhythm of our society.
I feel like it's lunch. I don't know. I don't
It
know.
could be lunch. It could be lunch.
I don't know. I mean, because they say your blood is moved from your brain to your stomach to digest the food, and it makes you. That's why there's like siestas and stuff after lunch, and like.
I don't feel this. I don't feel the
cultures.
same way, because I eat a very large breakfast, and after I have a breakfast, I'm working.
Yeah.
And I don't feel, or exercise a little bit, then I work. I don't feel the same way after my breakfast, because I'm ready to work and go to the office. However, like in the afternoon, it feels a bit off. I mean, yeah. So that's just me.
I'm the same. I'm the
but-
same. I do phone calls or meetings or outside things afternoons.
Right,
I usually
right.
get a spurt of energy in the evening, right? I'm best in the morning, but I think each person has to decide. Some people work best in the middle of the night, I guess. But I don't
Yeah.
know, many people who are good at working in the afternoon.
I have a developer that I work with that, he kind of starts really working at 9
At PM.
9 p.m. and he will stop working when the sun rises.
Crazy. Yeah, I can't.
And that he's incredibly creative, really brilliant. However, this is his schedule, right? So I think it's important to listen to yourself, and make sure you're healthy,
Yeah.
So anyway, I know we had discussed about this a little bit. I wanted to.
Yeah, let's do
I wanted to kind of key you in on a visualization that I do every morning.
Let's do it.
Okay, so I just turned on the Living Crystal, and it has a cistrine crystal on top of it. So I think we talk about, when you said like meditation and yoga are mainly for women, I think crystals even more so.
True.
Right? However, as an engineer, I really engage in the idea of what like a crystal represents, but the structure of it. It's a structured mineral that is grown, from the earth, right? And it has this lattice structure, and it's very similar to our own bone structure. So there's an analogy between our bone structure and crystalline structure. They're both grown, they're both piezoelectric, especially quartz crystals. So I engage on a very like intellectual form connection, and I connect my own bone structure to what the structure of the crystal is, right?
Yeah, I'm looking at it now.
Right. So, and to me, this drives a greater connection and a greater focus for me. Now, I have the cistrine on top of it, and I connect that with the sun, but the element of fire. And the element of fire, I connect with like this electric feeling. You know, this is kind of like powers our body, this electric force in our nerves. I mean, we couldn't move a muscle without the power of electricity, you know, coursing through our nerves. I also connect it with this warmth and fire, like really the technology that started all of this. You know, started all our civilization. Without fire, we wouldn't have a lot of things. We'd still probably be
cavemen.
We're not even cavemen. We'd probably be just in the tropical zone around the Earth. You know, fire allowed us to go into northern climates,
True.
you know, and survive winters. But it also, you know, gave us the ability to cook meat, right? And really, we evolved, you know, through the use of that technology, fire, to evolved our gut to handle, like there's some things that we just can't eat raw anymore that animals can, right? So that technology has driven our evolution. So connecting to the idea of fire, like this warmth, this will to create, you know, is really powerful for me. So when I look at that, I think of the sun, the vitality of the sun, but also the will to connect. And all I imagine is within my space is this fire invigorating me. And every breath that I take, I breathe in the fire and condense that energy within myself and feel the warmth, you know, guiding me, invigorating me, and empowering my will to create, to design.
Yeah, for your day, for your work.
Right. And we often talk about, so this is just a brief summary of that meditation. However, we often talk about desire. What's the difference between desire and a burning desire? A burning desire is...
You have to have it. It's like an addiction or almost. It's like there's
a burning desire to do something, you know, is you have the fire to propel you no matter what obstacle you come across. You have a desire can be like, oh, I have a desire for, you know, to create a business online, you know, but there's so many obstacles in creating businesses. Now, if you have a burning desire, right, no matter what obstacle you'll come across, you'll overcome it.
Yeah.
And so I really connect that fire with will, and then you know, my will to still like to be engaged in business and to grow my business. And there's a lot of things that I do that, you know, within engineering that I don't particularly like. And the only way that I can get through it is using my will.
The fire.
The burning desire to grow my business.
Yeah.
You know?
So maybe some more action points. How long should somebody use it for? Like, is there, I mean, how, you know, I think some people like the product, maybe they don't know how to use it, or even meditation in general. I mean, is there guidelines? I guess shorter for starting and longer if you're more experienced?
I think, you know, if you can focus for 5 minutes on something singular, that's a great accomplishment. Yeah, and we often start out like, well, just focus on something for 1 minute. And if you don't have any intruding thoughts for that 1 minute, you've gained success, right? So I think a lot of people engage in kind of like, they think, oh, meditation I can't do. I think of all these different things.
Yeah.
Right? Well,
they can't focus on. They even say that a lot of times.
Yeah. So I mean, that's somewhat self-defeating, right? So you have to build success. So why don't you just try for a couple seconds of not thinking of anything, and then extend that. You know, maybe go for 5 seconds, or maybe for a minute, and then, you know, if you can reach 5 minutes to 10 minutes, that's even better. The benefits of engaging in mindfulness, you know, happens when you can do that, for just a few minutes.
Yeah.
Right? And, it increases as you increase the time, however, if you're meditating for an hour or 2 hours, that's a lot of time that takes away from actually running a business or working, right?
Yeah.
Or doing everything else that we have to do that's meaningful in this life. So often what I tell people when they just first start off is that, look, this can be a focus for your meditation. However, just try, a few minutes. And once you start building success, you can build off of that.
Yeah.
Right? Now, there's a lot of people that, this is also an idea of like mindfulness of what you want to focus on during the day. So the idea is like, I often focus on engineering, and that I connect that to creation and the idea of fire, right? The will to bend the resources that you at hand to your own will and to create something. Like you're forging something. Forging is
the sword.
Yeah. Forging the sword. But we forge a lot of different things. An interesting, engaging website, is forged through our mind and through our computer, right? We don't have to always engage in sword making, right?
Love the idea of,
but
I'm an Aries. I think we talk about astrology, but my mom is astrology. But the ram, the pushing, with the horns to kind of make something, to break through and make something happen.
Right.
Yeah,
That's powerful imagery.
Yeah.
Right, and that's we often talk about the zodiac in terms of controlling our character. However, I kind of think of the zodiac as ways of engaging in what it is to be human. Right, so the Aries is breaking through. Like we have to break through a lot of walls.
Yeah, there's so many boundaries.
And you don't have to be an Aries to align to that type of mentality, right? However, these are powerful visualizations that you can do. So, a lot of this is like, how do you align to that, and what could align you to that? Visually, what kind of object can align that? And then maybe put that, close to your computer as you're working.
Yeah. So
that you're always ever present, with that mindset, knowing that you need to break through, you need to overcome your obstacles.
It's great. Yeah, so I mean, the fire one, this is the first time for me to see, this is your own device, and I forgot, what was the name of the?
Sistering.
There's
also sunstones you could use, or a candle. But the real goal is that these are just objects of your focus. The real work is internally and aligning yourself to that, and then aligning that to a greater purpose.
Okay, that's great. So I think you maybe move to the campaign.
Yeah, sure.
Or is there other part? I think we got the fire meditation.
Okay.
That was good. And we all have ours. So like I said, I have this little green one, and that kind of gives me power. So you can try different. It's all, like you said, it's all in our mind. It's just how we perceive this this object, but the singular focus, the energy that it gives us. Even throughout my day, like I learned this somewhere. I think I told you, like your index finger is a certain thought or feeling. Your your middle finger, you can use these as buttons. So sometimes when I'm stressed, I try to just. This is actually graduating college.
Okay. So you're anchoring an event, with this, what is like a mudra, like a mantra for your hands.
Yeah.
Right. So you're anchoring that event into a body position.
Yeah.
And then, like when you say you're graduating college, it's just not the thought of graduating college. It's all the emotions.
Yeah, the emotional day.
The emotions, the relief, the accomplishment.
Yes.
The idea that anything's possible now.
Yeah.
Now I want to go out and conquer the world.
Actually, I thought my life was over. I thought I had to go work in corporate world.
Oh, really?
And I actually, that summer was like, I backpacked Europe. I drove across the U.S. I went to Jamaica. Because I thought I was going to have to just work. I don't know, in corporate. For some reason, I just thought like this is the end of my.
In a cubicle.
Yeah, like I thought I was
York,
in a cubicle the rest of my life. So I think a lot of my older friends or people are like, you got to make the most. This is like the last of your youth or your freedom.
Right.
So I also have that feeling that also is that feeling like I just had to get all that in. But let's go to the campaign. So it's coming out. We're in the end of February. The Living Crystal will be on Kickstarter.
Right.
And so what is it where people are getting? Like it's the base, and it's a rechargeable unit.
Well, the battery's not included. However, you can use a 9-volt battery or a rechargeable 9-volt battery. It's really challenging to ship in quantity.
Yeah, the batteries. So that's where the batteries not included comes from.
So we decided not to incorporate that. However, you do get a clear crystal ball.
Yeah, I'm holding it for those watching. So anyway, keep going.
And this, a lot of in Thailand, a lot of monks and practitioners focus on a clear glass crystal ball, and they also connect that to a center in their body, and they grow this light within them. So it's an energetic form that's known in Thailand.
Interesting.
And it's very common for monks to practice with this, but also practitioners. So this is why we chose a crystal ball. But we also have rose quartz and clear and quartz.
Yeah, there's like a set. It's like an add-on. It's like an add-on set. Of course, you can check out the page.
Right.
And actually the other thing I think you mentioned is some people have been using this as like, I don't know, as like the cat, the lucky cat manicat.
Right. Yeah.
But it's also can be used as a little bit of a lucky product for business, right?
Right. So a way to manifest. So I was at the Mind, Body, Spirit Fair in Bangkok a couple weekends ago, and I was showing the device, and the tables right next to me both loved it so much that they wanted to have one on their table too.
Great.
And the woman to the left of me had when she turned it on, within 5 or 10 minutes, a couple people had bought some large items from her. So she was really inspired. Now, was that coincidence? Maybe. However, she felt really connected to this device, and in turn, I think that kind of changed how she reacted to everyone else. Right, in a more open, kind of friendly, energetic manner, and that led to a sale.
There you go.
So, it was really, really interesting.
It's exciting. It's been great to get to know you and do this product. And like I said, I'm using it daily. I integrate it into my morning meditation I was doing, and it's been helping me on improving my focus and giving me different energy. So I definitely recommend everybody check out the campaign, see if you want to back this project, and I think regardless, if you're doing business, like you said, it's like modern day. I don't want to say war, but it's modern day. Like actually, I have a book called E-commerce Gladiator. Yeah, I wrote this about like selling on Amazon, and you're like as a seller.
That's an arena.
You're in the arena of Amazon, and there's like people trying to kill you, like maybe other competitors trying to kill you, and there's like Amazon with the thumbs up or thumbs down, they might cancel your account. And there's service providers and logistics and warehouses and customs and DHLs, and so I just feel like we're modern day gladiators. Or is it gladiator, or is the gladiator is the person fighting, right?
Yeah.
But in the
arena.
That's the person fighting in the arena, because in the American Gladiator TV show, the gladiators were those guys trying to knock that contestants. But I think the gladiator actually was the contestant in the Colosseum, and that's so.
They fought for the pleasure of the crowd,
staying alive. To not die.
Right.
But so having this in your weapons or in your inventory is something I believe is needed, not just brains and will, but actually focus and mindfulness and meditation is helpful, because a lot of people focus about how to get more sales or how to get more improved marketing, but this is definitely something people need to work on as a business owner or somebody in high pressure work. So thanks so much, John, for sharing. thelivingcrystal.com. We'll link it on the show notes here. And this is fun. I always learn something each time I talk to you. So thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Cool. And thank you to our sponsor, our returning sponsor, Mercury.com, online bank. Well, it's a real bank, but you can do it totally online for US. Our Blimp program participants are going through this as well. Thank you, Mercury. Travis is great there. He's been on our show. He's been in our events. We're going to have another event where we will have them attending as well. And if you want to get a little bonus for you and us, if you sign up and do some special circumstances, you can go to globalfromasia.com/Mercury. I also have a video tutorial that we use even for the Blimp people. I use the same exact video to learn how to use it. I hope you can check it out. Totally free. Why not? See you there. Thank you, John. We did this in person here in the studio in Chiang Mai. It's really, I'm having fun, you know. This is part of my little dream, my little empire of things we do, and interviewing and connecting and asking any fun questions to people like John is part of the fun. There's a delivery coming right now, some more samples. We're doing lots of manufacturing here in Thailand. It's a new world. It's a new thing. There's so much, you know, dealing with pressure, dealing with business, you know. I know it's huge pressure with Amazon, you know, competitiveness and the platforms and the logistics and warehouses. I'm still dealing with that warehouse problem. Some of you have been asking me. So I hope today's show helped, and you know, no pressure, but if you could back John's project, we're actually also partner with them on this launch, so you know, it would help us out too. And I think it's a great product. I got one right in my hand. I don't like to shill or promote, but you know, I think it's a great one, and I got it right on my desk in front of me every day, and sometimes even throughout my day, you know, like I said in the show, I put index finger, middle finger, you know, different fingers to remember different feelings and thoughts and memories and everything. And the more I go into business and life and I get older, I'm going to be 42 in a month. So I'm getting old, and I realize that it's more about your mind and how you take things, right? It's not really, of course you got to take care of your body and achieve things, but you also need to take care of your mind. And I think this product helps you get there. And meditation in general, and just try to even just take 2-3 seconds when you get upset about something about work or life or family. Just try to hold your breath, close your eyes, think for 2 seconds, and you'll probably make a much better decision in those 2 or 3 seconds of mindfulness or meditation or pausing, right? If you make rash, quick decisions, it's when you usually make the worst decisions. So that should be the bare minimum, you know, hopefully you got from today and in life and from maybe this show. So much going on. I got behind me the Cross Border Summit, save the date for November. I think we're getting 16th and 17th here in Chiang Mai. We got the spot locked in, crossbordersummit.com. Gonna go up to Japan in April, right after my birthday, with Gary. Potentially a Canton Fair trip, making that get set up, and there's just actually Singapore in March. So just so much happening, and thank you for being here with me. And I'm getting a lot of good vibes lately. I'm kind of enjoying getting things going again. Maybe weekly. This was a week since last show, but I don't want to commit because that could give me some negative vibes. So maybe weekly. There's a couple more shows we got, so we'll keep this weekly for a bit. Thanks again. globalfromasia.com/TLC, Tender Loving Care, or The Living Crystal. Take care. See y'all later. Bye-bye.
To get more info about running an international business, please visit our website at www.globalfromasia.com. That's www.globalfromasia.com. Also, be sure to subscribe to our iTunes feed. Thanks for tuning in.